Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to WOR 710, the Voice of New York, with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart and Passage to Profit. And now we are to a fun part of our show where we have people presenting their companies. And our first presenter, well, I just have to say, as a small business, how do you get your accounting done and not pay an arm and a leg? Like, how does it work?
Maybe just an arm.
Maybe just an arm. So Ricky Laviña has just a solution for you. Welcome, Ricky.
Definitely overpaying to get accounting work done is one of the multiple problems you encounter in the accounting industry, and one that we kind of set out to solve 5 years ago. Just as a quick background, I'm a CPA, so I have some inside knowledge in terms of the pain points from the other side of the fence, as far as this really old and antiquated industry that is accounting. When you think about creativity, and earlier in the show we were listening to Ola, you think artists and musicians and all these things that these industries that we're all exposed to on a daily basis. But when you're dealing with accounting and taxes, it's kind of negatively connotated. It's kind of something that people put off, but you need to do, kind of like brushing your teeth or something, right? Mm. So I'm actually an ex-PricewaterhouseCoopers CPA, and I was in the industry for better part of a decade before I jumped ship to start Taxfyle 5 years ago. And the whole point of Taxfyle was to do what no one else has done in the industry, which was to think about servicing small businesses and individuals better, from a virtual perspective. And the key to any professional service, as you guys know, with legal, it's the workforce, right? So here at Taxfyle, we have 3,000 on-demand CPAs and EAs, similar to like Uber drivers, right? It's the largest network of CPAs in the world, available on demand, even larger than TurboTax's, and we make them available to you, the end user, via our app called Taxfyle in the App Store or Google Play Store, to download and request whatever it may be, whether it's a simple tax return, or a very complex one.
So what makes you stand out, as you mentioned, H&R Block, from these other places? What makes you different? Are your people more vetted? Is it less expensive?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So we're definitely less expensive than going to a CPA firm, a traditional CPA brick and mortar, right? And we kind of have that inflection point of service via new age technology. It was very important to us to build a very user-friendly app with graphic designers and something that's beautiful. When we launched this in 2016, Apple, which I guess is a heavy theme in this show, their editors ranked us best new app on the App Store. We've been consistently ranked as the top tax time app by their editors over the years. So we wanted to take a new approach. We didn't want this to be your, plain Jane, vanilla tax app. We want it to be attractive, something that people can interact with, get high quality service, and for a great price. The first time I ever used Uber, like everyone else, you just get it. Instead of having to call a taxi and wait and have uncertainty, in terms of when they're going to arrive, if they even are, your fare, and then when you get into it, it's kind of like this disgusting Crown Victoria, and then you get off and you pay a lot of money. Uber, at least initially, when we were all introduced to it, provided the opposite of that. It was Prius picks you up right on time. You know exactly where they are on the interface on the app, and then when the fare was done, you usually paid less than a taxi, and that's the same experience that we wanted, and that's our thesis, that we want to deliver to our users. It's higher quality service, like you mentioned. They're all licensed CPAs or IRS enrolled agents, where on Turbo or on H&R Block, you're probably not going to get someone that's licensed. They do have some licensed workers, but it's not consistent, right? These are thoroughly vetted, very reputable CPAs and IRS enrolled agents available because, via the power of the gig economy, at very competitive and well below market rates.
Well, our daughter did her own taxes, and we know that she missed some deductions that she could have taken. So Richard was telling her go to H&R Block, but I think I'm going to send her to Taxfyle.
Having been to your website, I saw the choices. It seems pretty clear that you have different services based on the type of tax return you're filing, whether you're itemizing deductions, whether you're not, whether you're a small business or you're not. Could you elaborate a little bit on the different types of categories that one of our listeners might select, and so that they pick the right service?
Sure. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter all that much. You could select the wrong service and we'll just adjust it in the middle of the job, right? The whole point of the app is really for someone to do your taxes for you. As a CPA, I mentioned myself, if I don't if I don't get out of bed really excited to do my taxes, I don't think the average person is. So all you really want when it comes to tax. I could say you're in the minority. We've had hundreds of thousands of users over the years, and you're definitely in the minority.
It was like this big puzzle that you had to solve. So
I was going to
puzzles have been
say,
in fashion during
of course,
COVID.
I probably shouldn't admit this publicly, but I was fascinating with how I could maximize my deductions. So
yeah.
I
without crossing that gray area, right?
I was usually driving 67 or 68.
But what I find interesting is you almost anticipated the pandemic, right? Because you had this app where people could do everything electronically. And we have an accountant that does the taxes, but when you get your end of the year forms, can you just take a picture with your phone and send them? I mean, do you actually have to mail anything anymore?
Yeah. No, you don't have to mail anything. That's why we've hired engineers from Google, Magically, Ultimate Software, from the top, Amazon, from the top companies to put this together, and why we invested so much. It's definitely been a roadmap for us where we spent the majority of the capital that we've raised and the early years. We're 5 years now into this. Into the product itself. This is essentially our growth year. This is our big, kind of scalable year and moving forward. So, it's modernized. What you expect. You take a photo with your phone. There's a web app as well where you can drag and drop different documents. You can link them if you've had prior jobs. Your prior jobs just automatically roll forward. So we wanted to have those network effects so that when you come back the next year, because you have to file your taxes every year, right? It's not just one and done, and you don't have to gear up. It's all there for you. Even if you have connect with a different CPA, everything transfers, including your chat history and your documents that are relevant for the subsequent year.
So do you feel like then you've hit an inflection point and that your company is going to be successful, or did you find that point a couple of years ago? How did you know when you've made it? You have a nice patio set there, so
In Miami.
I'm assuming
I'm jealous.
I'm assuming something's going right, but
yeah, I think if you ask anyone that's on the panel today, that I don't think you're ever going to say, yeah, we made it. Pencils down, everyone, let's go home. Even if let's say we IPO one day, I don't think that we would even feel that on that day. There's definitely milestones, right? So year one, like we said, getting featured, that was great, kind of social proof and kind of reinforcing the vision, right? As has been brought up already, it's very difficult as an entrepreneur. There's plenty of days that you feel that everything's going to burn down, and there's other days that you feel like you're going to be a billionaire. It's very important to kind of stay even keeled, right? So
I'm still waiting for that day, by the way. But
Ola probably has a comment on this.
Like one day you think you're going to be, a billionaire, and you're going to be the market leader. The next day you think everything's going to burn down. I think that is exactly kind of when you're flying through the bumpiness of it. If you hit the IPO day, then obviously you've gotten to a point where your business is stable, hopefully, right? So then at least you can take a week of vacation or something and go down and visit Ricky in Miami. But it's as what Ricky says, it just keeps going, and that's the nature of joining this game. You don't join it to exit. I don't think a lot of people do. You join it because you're crazy, and you join it because you even want to excel. You want to go beyond that point. And when you IPO, you want to be the most valuable company in the world. And kind of that's how the drive goes. So I agree.
I was just going to say that, I admire what you're doing because taxes kind of scare a lot of people. And I've never been one to try to do my own taxes. I've always just gone to someone, especially when you start having deductions and trying to write everything off. I just was curious if you could describe a little bit more about the user experience, because I know you said that there's an app, but you said there is some interaction with an actual person. So what is that experience like?
Just like Uber. Instead of ordering a car, you're ordering someone to do your taxes for you. So you download the app. You're going to answer some questions so we know, what type of tax return we need to work on. Right? Is it a small business? It's very simple. It's not like you have to go through a TurboTax. It's going to take about 90 seconds to complete. We have this proprietary algorithm that we've been working on for many, many years, because everyone's situation, there's 160 million taxpayers in the United States. Everyone has a different tax situation. Just saying, "Hey, I do a 1040." Are you Jeff Bezos 1040 or Ricky Laviña? Much more simple, right? So, our algorithm will pick and choose what questions to ask you so we could get the best kind of idea of what we need to do for you and match you up, kind of like Match.com, but in the CPA world with someone that has worked on and has a history on the profile of your tax needs or accounting needs. Okay. So you download it, answer the questions, put your credit card on file like you do with Uber or with Postmates, same thing. And almost instantly you'll be connected with a pro. Right now, we have, obviously the new year has started. It's, technically it's in tax season, although the IRS hasn't opened up, but we have plenty of people creating jobs, and you're connected in 30 seconds to a CPA right now. And you start chatting back and forth, exchanging documents. They'll give you, based off, how you answer the questions, maybe a list of documents to say, hey, just upload these. If I have questions, I'll reach out. And that's about it. They do the work for you.
It's very cool. How many users have you had on the app so far?
Over the past 5 years, a couple 100,000.
So if we were to take one of the tax returns prepared by Taxfyle and compare it to a CPA, say with 10 years of experience, what would be the tax outcome between the tax returns? Would they be roughly the same? Would there be any differences? Could you say that your people might do a better job, or how do you convince somebody like me who's had a CPA for a while to use your service?
How do you know your CPA isn't on Taxfyle? We use the same CPAs. It's so
That was good.
That was good. But let's suppose that they're not.
If they're not, then the algorithm will match up with another CPA. Look, the average years of experience across the 3,400 professionals that we have is 11 years.
Right.
So it's not like they're all millennials. Actually, it's the workforce is declining in terms of volume of supply, right? Which is going to make going to your traditional CPA a little bit more expensive. Now, we have other products that we actually, the power of our network is such that, we're not just an app servicing end clients. We do a ton of outsourced work from your CPA firm. So your CPA may not be on it, picking up work, but they may be sending the work to us to kind of help them get it done during the busy season. So over the years, have you seen, and you'll find out with the other entrepreneurs here, you have to adapt your product to the market, and you start off with a vision, but depending on that product market fit, it could lead you in different directions that you may have not thought you're going to be in day one.
Ricky, do you think that the traditional brick and mortar tax preparation places will become extinct at some point?
I don't think extinct. Definitely not, because we're buying a few of them. I just think that the work that's going to be done in person is going to change, and that's what we're seeing across the board. Tax practices like the brick and mortar ones that you guys go to, that CPA that you've had it for 20 years, they're becoming less and less interested or in doing 1040 work and doing we call it compliance work in the industry, right? So the stuff that's commoditizable, tax returns, bookkeeping, things like that. That's going to, move to the cloud. And with COVID, it's been really accelerated. So if you have a book of business that's just 1040 work, you're probably looking to get out of that business, because what you're thought of more now as a CPA, and what you want to be thought of is more like a wealth manager type, financial advisor role, right? There's a lot more stuff, M&As, there's a lot more nuance there that your time is more, I guess, valuable for than just doing compliance work, which we're seeing shift out of the brick and mortar. So I think that they're not going to go extinct. That trust factor, whether it's face to face, in person or via Zoom is, another question. But I think the industry's transforming to be more of a white glove, higher value service than a place that you go to get your basic, tax work or accounting work done, which could
So,
be
Ricky,
done much cheaper with the same quality online.
this has been really interesting, and your insights onto where the tax preparation business is going are great. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the segment. How can our audience get in touch with you?
Go to taxfile.com, sign up. We'll definitely help you out with your tax return this
Can you
year.
spell
And
that? Can you spell it?
TAXFYLE. So, and you could download it on the App Store or the Google Play Store. We'll also put together a coupon for everyone listening, Profit 20, to get $20 off.
Wow,
Great.
sounds great. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to easier time with our taxes.
And we're going to tell our daughter about it. So,
And we're going to tell our daughter about it.
listeners, you are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710 with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart and our special guest, Ola Sars. We'll be right back.